welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick and Jeff Lasseter. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, Everyone's a Critic podcast.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. Listen to us on all your podcatchers, including Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, etc. Please, though, go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the show, rate and review the show. We will read your reviews on the air. And then there's patreon.com/criticspod, the best way to help support the podcast. Get yourself a credit on the show. And we do have the Friday the 13th commentary track that Sean and Jeff recorded. That will be Patreon exclusive until October 13th. Not to mention several of the music episodes Sean and I did that are not ever going to be on our regular feed. So if you want to hear those, head over to patreon.com/criticspod. And then finally, our TeePublic link is at ihatecritics.net up in the right-hand corner, or search CriticsPod at tpublic.com.
Hey, good point. Easter's coming up, and of course, we did an episode on what was the record for Easter we talked about? It was very funny.
Oh, the Darkness. Easter.
The Darkness. Good conversation about that one, which you can only get if you're a patron.
Yes,
I've got an idea for Easter movies.
Oh no,
zombies!
Oh, of course he's got. Of course he's got a horror film of some kind.
Well, I always watch zombie movies on Easter because Jesus rose from the dead and all that. So
I'm a big torture porn fan during that weekend.
That's why you watch Mel Gibson movies.
Yeah,
the highest grossing torture porn movie of all time, The Passion of the Christ. If I believed in hell, I'd go there. Probably a lot more interesting people.
Hell would be amazing if it was real.
I mean,
right?
You'd be joining Mel Gibson, I imagine, someday.
No, he's in heaven. I'm in hell with all the fun people.
That's why the concept of hell made no sense to me.
Right. All right. Jeff, what do you got going on this weekend? You got a big event coming up.
This weekend is Golden Con, the Golden Girls Convention. I'm going to be there selling my artwork. If you're in Chicago, it is so worth it. Even if you're only a casual Golden Girls fan, everybody is so like, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to cons. I know, Sean, you joined me at Midwest Monster Fest halfway to Halloween last year. Generally, cons are a mixed bag. Some people are super happy to be there. Some people are super intense, especially if it's a horror con, because, like the horror, metal, anger Venn diagram is almost a circle sometimes. But the Golden Con last year was the first year they did it in Chicago. It was the first year they did it, period. And it's returning this weekend. It is so much fun. Everybody is super happy to be there. The guests are going to be great. I'm going to be sitting next to Christy McNichol from Family and Empty Nest and Little Darlings and the Pirate movie. And oh God, I wish I could get my hands on a copy of that before the weekend. But, Dinah Manoff, I'm going to try to get Child's Play signed by her. Just a bunch of people. And everybody's super happy. It's super fun. You can come and buy some of my super cool Golden Girls shit. And I've got a bunch of other stuff too. Just if you're in Chicago or need something to do and you're nearby, swing by, come to I think it's the Sheridan Grand Riverwalk, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So.
Excellent. That's awesome. All right. Sean, do you want to tell people where they can read your reviews?
Yeah, you can go to vocal.media and geeks.media. And this week, go to beat.media, where I wrote a very strange and satirical review of Eddie Money's song "Take Me Home Tonight," which is actually Jeff, I think a song that you'll love, because if you look at it through the lens that I'm looking at it as an ode to cannibal serial killers.
Eat My Little Baby.
Yeah, take a look at the lyrics of that song. It's much more weird than anybody really stopped to think about.
I think Eddie Money was probably a pretty normal but secretly weird dude.
Yeah.
And
Certainly
Ronnie
the
Spector,
protagonist of that song
you know,
is. With the looming specter of Phil Spector over the top, which is great
exactly.
too.
I wonder how many kids rush to read your write-up.
No, I mean it's blowing up. It's viral everywhere. Everybody wants to read about Eddie Money.
That's what I love about you, though. You don't care. It's just like I'm passionate about this topic. I found something new. I'm going to write about it. That's awesome. Definitely check that out. And then obviously we talked about Golden Con. Where else can people get your art, Jeff?
Go to my website, jefflassiter.com. There's links to my Instagram, to my TeePublic is there. Also, my Etsy, and I'm thinking about doing a print sale because I've got a bunch of stuff I'm sick of the sight of. Not that I don't love my own stuff, it's just I've got a ton of stuff. So you can get my Megan print there, you can get my Wednesday print there. All sorts of good stuff.
Excellent. All the links are posted in the show notes. So I bought a 6 minutes.
That's just 6 minutes. We don't have to talk about John. No, I'm just kidding.
We got nothing but John Wick today and then the 93 movies. How do you want to do this, Sean? Just 1 through 4 or do 4 and then go back and talk about 1?
Let's save the modern one for last.
All right, we're going to lead off with a classic then, which is John Wick 1 through 3.
John Wick 2014, directed by Chad Stahelski and Derek Kolstad, and tells the story of a retired hitman named John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, who gets drawn back into the life after the son of a Russian gangster tries to steal his car and then ends up killing his dog. The dog was a gift from his late wife, which had a lot of emotional meaning to him on top of being just a really nice dog. And so it sets him about going around and killing as many people as he has to get to this mobster's son, played by Alfie Allen. Of course, Michael Nyqvist plays his father. And I really enjoyed this movie a lot when I saw it. And there are issues with it, but what I've enjoyed about John Wick from the beginning is just the unusual employment of lore. Like, this is not a movie that, if you're going into this thinking this exists in our world or in a world that is like normal human world, it's not. It's a heightened universe where this type of thing exists, and they establish a whole universe around it, whether it's the Continental Hotel, which, caters specifically to hitmen, or like a service where, like, in other movies where massive amounts of bodies are left in the wake of a killer, and what do you do with them? Well, here there's actually a service for that, which I thought was just a little funny little touch that they had. They got a code of rules that they use, and people who decide what those rules are. And there's a whole lot of level upon level of lore that I really enjoyed, on top of just this exceptional action that just really never slows down for a moment. And Keanu Reeves as an actor is kind of just perfectly suited to this for me, because it doesn't require him to do a lot. It doesn't require him to be very big or emotive. It requires him to be physically charismatic, and Keanu Reeves is a very physically charismatic guy. And from that perspective, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the cars, I enjoyed the guns, and I enjoyed the lore. The supporting performances are fun with Lance Reddick and Ian McShane, and I would have liked to have seen better use of the female characters in these movies, but this movie specifically, I wrote an article actually about how they don't really have any depth to any of the female characters, which actually, when I wrote it and put it up on our initial website, just got so much angry pushback from John Wick fans who are like, how dare you criticize this movie? And it's like, this is a very criticizable movie. I still like it a lot. I still enjoyed it a lot, but like, like, there's plenty to criticize about it. It's basically just a slightly more self-serious Fast and the Furious film. But I also really like the Fast and Furious movies, so this is kind of made for me.
Jeff?
I I had never seen any of these movies until 3 days ago. I watched all four in about 2.5 days, and I think I told you guys yesterday I was exhausted afterwards because it is just nonstop action. I knew the basic premise of part one, that they kill his dog, and so he gets mad that they killed his dog, as you would. I couldn't. There's just so much wall to wall action. Like from start to finish, there's just almost no time to breathe. Actually, in any of these movies, and I'm not the person that this was made for, because I'm not necessarily an action, like constant fighting and shooting person. The first one, it was enjoyable for what it was. It wasn't, I wouldn't rush out and I wouldn't tell everybody, oh my God, you got to see it. It's the best action movie I've ever seen. It's not, it's fine. It's kind of like Creed. I had never seen any of those movies before we watched that, and I really did like the first one. And I really did like this one. It was enjoyable, and there were a couple times where I looked at my phone when I was like, okay, we're going to fight again. Okay. Oh, he just got out of the fight. Okay, what's going to happen? Oh, he's fighting again because 44 more people suddenly showed up. And that's all I have to say about part one, I guess. I mean, it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, this was the one I paid the most attention to before I started going to my phone the most. But about not quite 2/3 of the way through, I started to see myself drifting to my phone. But then the story kind of brought me back in, or the action did, or whatever it was. And I stuck with this one the easiest. But again, I'm like you, I'm not the audience for this. I have nothing really to criticize about it. It's for what it wanted to be. It was, and it was very good at being that. This is going to be a really hard episode to do, because say this 4 more times, and that's kind of going to be all I have to add to the show. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's for a specific audience. That audience is not worse than I am. I'm not above the audience. I'm just not the audience. It's cool action, a neat premise. It's cool they made their own little world, but like you said, Fast and Furious has a world. James Bond has a world. Big Daddy has a world. Little Nicky has a world. So they're all kind of these movies that I'm not the audience for, but people like them. I can't say anything bad about them.
Well, when I'm talking about a world, I'm talking about like when somebody creates a heightened universe of specificity. Like, I don't think like Scream seems to want to exist. It has a universe, but in that universe, the rules are a little bit nebulous at times. Whereas this, I think he sets a series of rules that are in place, like I said, like the Continental and all the various different bits of lore that build upon in each of the subsequent movies. Like it creates its own level of believability, and any movie, I find that if movies create a certain level of believability and then violate that, I tend to lose interest in them, which has kind of happened like with the last Scream, especially. Yep. Just losing that ability to buy in. I never lost my ability to buy in on John Wick. They keep finding ways to provide their own logic to fill in any kind of gaps as to how something might have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. John Wick 2.
All right, John Wick.
14 minutes into the show, we're good.
Well, John Wick 2 came out just a couple of years after the first, and 2017. And it follows John Wick in the immediate aftermath of what happened in the first film. He was going to get his car back, and then he immediately just destroys the car, but he's going to get it rebuilt. And he just finishes off the last of the family that he was fighting against. But this, of course, is an announcement that he is back and working again, and that brings out a member of his Belarusian family, Santino D'Antonio, who reminds him that he holds a marker on him that he'd kind of put aside while John Wick was, was in retirement, and now he wants him to use it to kill D'Antonio's sister Gianna, which is a nearly impossible task. She's just been brought up to the high table, so he's got a really a tough task to get to her. Or at least it would seem to be. He makes it seem pretty easy to get to her. Again, this is the one where it's just nonstop, beginning to end action, with a couple of dip-ins here to the Continental and expanding the Continental lore, to other cities and how they operate in a similar fashion. Once again, another thing that I've enjoyed about the John Wick movies is that there's a concept in professional wrestling that Bob, I know you'll be familiar with, where you talk up somebody, you talk them up and you say that this person is incredibly formidable. What I've enjoyed from the first film and into this one is how when somebody says that John Wick is here, everybody holds their breath for a moment, oh my God, it's John Wick. John Wick, really? John Wick? They make it, they create in your mind this legend of him, and then Keanu Reeves just has to sort of live into that, and I think he does. I think he does well enough in terms of just his physical presence and his physical charisma, and also just the way it's shot. I think Chad Stahelski is a tremendous action director. I don't know if he could necessarily direct anything other than this, but I think as an action director, he's pretty incredible. And the way he creates scenes to make it appear that, John Wick knows how to kill somebody in a very specific way. And his movements are balletic. He's a little bit faster than other people, but he also has just a little bit stronger endurance than other people. He just knows where to put a knife in the human body that's going to finish it, that kind of stuff. Just little touches here and there that just make it just deepen the lore of John Wick, the character, and the lore of the action itself. Again, I really enjoyed this one as well.
Jeff?
I did not like this one as much. This was the one where I really kind of I started working on a drawing on my iPad, and I kind of looked up every once in a while. It just nothing actually caught me after the first, oh, he's going to get his car. Cool. Oh, he's going to wreck his car. Oh, John. Also, I did catch a goof that is not on IMDb when he bursts out of that garage and he lands kind of sideways, completely blows the front driver's side tire out, and then as he's pulling away, it's fine. But that's the level of where I was watching this. The guy can't even walk to the refrigerator without 40 guys trying to kill him. It's I appreciate the world building, and I appreciate that, it's a different kind of universe than we live in, but it's seriously, why doesn't he change his appearance at all? I mean, if he wants to go under the radar a little bit, he could wear a wig, be blonde, shave his beard, anything to kind of, that's where I was in this entire movie. I don't remember most of the movie because I was kind of did I just watch this? And I had just watched John Wick. So, I guess I kind of did just watch that. And it was like I said earlier, it was the Creed factor, where the first one I really liked and I was really engaged in. The second one I was like, oh, we're just going to repeat the exact same thing without that much difference. The Belarusian subplot and, trying to a little bit, but not enough for me. So,
yeah, for me, it just seemed like it didn't matter how talented he was, how much of a phenom he was. It seemed like a miserable existence. And just why do you even want to go on? Why not just let them take you out and be done? I kept wondering that the whole time, which isn't really fair to the movie. But I just, like you said, he can't go to the bathroom without 40 people trying to kill him. So, and it's just, at some point, it's just what's the point? I take care of these 40 people. the next time I go to the bathroom, another 40 are going to come after me. It's
Yeah. I think I'll go. He's like, I think I'll go get a snack. And then he turns around and there's 15 guys in Yakuza outfits trying to kill him. And then he turns the other way, and it's just.
But it's reminded me similarly as the way Sean would critique a dystopian movie, how he can't get into them because why would you even want to be here? And I kind of felt that way. We're not bringing it to this movie. The movie's not at all. I mean, they're just making him cool and this kind of legend. But from my angle, it was just like, why would he even want to be here? It's misery for him.
Well, I mean, is it though? I mean, he kind of. I think there's a part of John Wick that kind of enjoys killing people. He also he's also of the opinion when he's just walking around like, hey, I'm John Wick. Like, if somebody comes at me, I can kill him. Like, I'm not too worried about that. Or in many ways, he's kind of thinking like a lot of these people aren't going to come to me because I am John Wick. Like he's got that going for him. He's got that swagger going to him. So and he figures he can kill his way to what he wants, which is to be back and retired and just have a dog and a house and his car, which is just and remembering his wife, which is another kind of lingering factor throughout, is that he just wants to be alive because she asked him to be.
And I'm not claiming that to be a flaw in the movie. I'm claiming that to be like me putting myself in John Wick's shoes, not wanting to be John Wick. It's something I'm bringing to it. The movie by no means is even making you think this. This is all me on my own, bringing it to the movie. But, when you start doing that, it's hard to turn your brain off and keep it from making you project onto things. And that's what was happening for me. Anything else on John Wick 2 before we do John Wick 3?
I like the kineticism. I like how it doesn't slow down. I love the choreography and the gunplay. I think is fantastic. The choices that Chad Stahelski makes in his camera work is dynamic. So as action movies go, is it smart? No, I wouldn't say it's smart, but it is. It reminds me a lot of what we see later on as the growing influence of classic kung fu cinema, which is kind of combining with a sort of a modern gun perspective of American action movies. And that type of marriage is appealing to me.
Well, and if you can create a world and not cheat on it and keep it, there is a level of, smartness or whatever, intelligence to that. Pulling that off, because most movies at some point screw it up. So you don't have to say it's not smart. It's smart enough. John Wick 3.
John Wick 3 Parabellum, 2019, picks up again the story immediately following what happened at the end of John Wick 2. John Wick has been excommunicated from the world of professional killers. He has no safe haven, but Ian McShane's character has given him an hour. And in that hour, he's got to go get himself cleaned up and prepared to fight his way out of New York and find safe passage to Casablanca, where he can reach the next part of his goal. And again, this is a lot of I'm not a video game guy, but this is certainly like video game cutscenes. Anytime he stops somewhere, it's like a video game cutscene. It just happens to be some of these cutscenes are pretty good. I like the opening of this movie a lot. I like the countdown. I like the scene in the doctor's office where he's suturing himself up and has to finish it himself, and that the lore that the doctor lays in about nobody's going to believe I didn't help you. I thought that was kind of darkly humorous, and that's all again to just get him to the next station, which is in Casablanca, where he hooks up with Halle Berry, and they set about the next part of the journey. And again, that just sets up this massive action scene with him and Halle Berry just killing a lot of people in a very cool, well-constructed, well-shot way that is exciting and fun. And again, it's all about great cinematography and camera work and keeping up an incredible pace. And then, of course, adding more lore. Like Lawrence Fishburne's been there from the beginning, but they layer him in a little more here. And his background and what he does, and that whole homeless underground that I thought was another nice bit of world building. They create these little safe havens that John can find. You've got Angelica Houston. You've got this whole lore about his family in Belarus again coming into it. Like there's a whole lot of different things that are happening in the background that build up very, very quickly. And again, it just builds this entirety of lore behind it that's, again, I find very appealing and very fun. And this movie, it's like it's over 2 hours long, but for me, the pace never let up, and I enjoyed that.
Jeff,
this was my favorite one. I think that it really, the other two, like Sean said earlier, they suffered from not having much, of a female character pretty much. I mean, yeah. Throughout them, this one really, really hit its stride. And I think a lot of that was the female energy between Halle Berry, Angelica Houston, the adjudicator, who in real life is non-binary, but I think was playing female in this movie. And seeing these three different kinds of women interacting with John Wick really, really made me like this much more. It just seemed like there was momentum as opposed to two. There's definitely momentum in his story, and you got to see the manager like make a turn, and I like the characterizations of everybody much more in this one, from John Wick to the manager to the adjudicator to Halle Berry's character, whose name is like gone from my head, to the director played by Angelica Houston. This one, and I don't know if it was the female energy or what, but I really connected more to this one than I did the other two.
Sophia. Halle Berry's character is Sophia.
That's right.
I mean, I'm lame, and I probably like the first one the most. But watching them all in one weekend, it's like the world has expanded so much by the time we got to this third one, and I was almost overwhelmed. And it's one thing when you have to wait 2 years in between movies to kind of let it get there. But we watched it happen over the course of 6 hours, and it was still a step up from two. I think two was my least favorite of all of them. But it was just, now it's like season 4 or 5 of a TV show where they get so crazy with everything going on that it's just such a complicated world and storyline. I mean, they're pulling it off and it all makes sense. None of it is wrong. It just, I find myself getting more and more overwhelmed within the world of John Wick.
Well, they hit their stride, and it's like the third season of a TV show. That's when it really hits its stride and gains its audience. And I think that, I think that you by this time you're invested in John Wick as a character, but you're still like, why would he, why would he not just take a bullet and be done with it? And that's explained. But it's just why I'll be honest. I really had Halle Berry's character, Sophia, or, if she had been there in the second one, I might have been a little more engaged. And, whatever heteronormative bullshit that is for me, deep down, about having a man and a woman on the run together. But she just brings something that was lacking as a character. So I wish she'd been in it more. And
then, go ahead, Sean.
I got to say, my favorite, my favorite fight in the whole series is in Parabellum, and the fight with Mark Dacascos, Zero, in the hotel. Is my favorite fight, and Dacascos is so funny. He's such a funny actor because he's just so weird, but he doesn't realize he's weird. And I totally invested in that character and enjoyed I enjoyed seeing him, especially at the end, saying like, "I'll see you later. I'll see you again, John Wick." I'm like, "No, you won't. You're totally dying, dude." But, like it's just those little mannerisms, the little choices that he makes as a character and an actor. It's just I found that incredibly charming.
And then
Yeah, he was pretty great.
the one that came out this weekend, John Wick 4.
Yes, John Wick 4 picks up with John in New York being hidden by the Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne, and preparing to launch himself into full-on war with the High Table. And of course, he wants looking at potentially taking revenge on Winston, the owner of the Continental, who seemed to turn on him at the end of Parabellum. And he just, again, we're just setting out into the world of the Continental and the lore. We've got to go to Japan, where another friend is waiting, and another Continental hotel with an even more lore. And this one's the longest one of the four, but it didn't feel long to me. It's got a tremendous pace, and the choices that they make with the people who are in here, like especially with the choices of Donnie Yen and Hiroyuki Sanada. They're just so awesome. Like, those two actors are incredible. Donnie Yen especially is just so matter of fact, and he's just so amazing, bouncing off of John Wick or Bill Skarsgård as the big villain in the movie. We get a lot more High Table lore here, where they've invested all of their power into Skarsgård's character to make the final decision, the final kill of John Wick, and all building up to this incredible dueling scene at the end, where there's there's legit stakes. Like, will John Wick actually survive? Does he want to survive? Does he want to kill Kane? At this point, like, he's kind of feeling like kind of the way you guys want him to. It's like he's finally reached that point. Again, this is exciting for me. I thought the action was, again, as kinetic as ever. It's building in more of the kung fu lore, and that influence is very heavily within this movie. Donnie Yen did a lot of the choreography of his scenes and a lot of choreography throughout the series, and just getting this spotlight here was pretty awesome. But then, I mean, again, I got to shout out, like, the Hiroyuki Sanada was so awesome as the manager of the Continental. Just so much gravity and weight, and the good guy energy. Like, he knows what's coming. He knows he's going to get. He's risking everything to protect John Wick, but there's got a loyalty to him, and I found that to be fun. He just get him and his daughter. His daughter has a wonderful arc in this, where she could, be a very, very serious character if the series spin off in some way. I really enjoy this. And Bill Skarsgård is just the guy you want to see shot. He just has that great, I want to see that guy get it in the end, energy. I really, again, another one. All four of these movies, I enjoyed them a lot. I really do. I wouldn't sit here and say that they're great in any way, but I think as action movies, they rank highly for me among action franchises, because it's just so well made. I think as an action director, Chad Stahelski is one of the best.
Jeff?
Okay. First, the bad. It was too long. I really sat in the theater going, I checked my watch a lot during this one. I thought that there was just, how do you say unnecessary fighting in a John Wick movie? But, you did not need to see the Continental fight go on as long as it did in the beginning. I did not need to see. I'm sorry. What's his name? Die. I didn't need to see that fight to know who Donnie Yen was, and I kind of felt like that's what they were doing. They were setting up how he will do anything to save his daughter, which, of course, we know that. He's going to go try to kill John Wick. Of course, he'll do anything that was unnecessary, and it just added to the runtime, which, as everybody knows by now, I'm a big proponent of. Cut 10 to 30 minutes out of a movie and it pop probably much better. This is where I literally said to myself in the theater, God, he can't even walk up like one flight of stairs without, 500 people trying to kill him. I thought that the scene in the house where it was like literally like watching a video game, to the point where I was like, this looks like cutscenes from a video game, or you're just watching gameplay on YouTube. I thought that was completely unnecessary. Overall, I liked the movie. I liked the characterizations of everybody. I shouldn't be checking my watch in an action movie that's got this much stuff going on. You know what I mean? I think that if you had cut out a half an hour, I would have been like, this would have been my favorite. Cut out a half an hour and put Halle Berry in there. I would have been fine. I wasn't particularly thrilled when I left the theater, and I felt that way with a lot of recent releases where I was just like, oh, I can't wait to see that again. This one, I was like, can we get a director's cut that's a half hour shorter?
Studio cut.
Yeah.
No, you said something in a group chat about if you took these 4 movies and cut it down into 2 really tight movies, you'd have 2 of the best action movies of all time.
Well, they'd be really, if you took out half the fighting, and it's not that I don't think that that's what these are for. They're fight movies. However, the fights go on too long, and every single one of them, the fights go on too long, except maybe the first one. I think the first one is like, okay, and I think they saw that and they were like, oh, everybody really responded to the fighting. Let's put a half an hour of fighting extra in 2, 3, and 4, especially 2 and 4. I think that if you cut some of the fighting out or cut it down and edit it a little differently, you could have come up with some really good fight / suspense movies, because there are some really suspenseful scenes throughout this series. Is John Wick going to die? Is he not going to die? The only thing that made me think that he wasn't going to die is knowing that there were 4 of these. That's because sometimes you're like, oh, he could legitimately die in this situation. Oh, but there's 2 more sequels, but he doesn't. And I guess if I'd watched these when they first came out, I might have been like, oh shit, he could die. Maybe he should die. And by the time he was trying to get up those stairs in part 4, I was just like, you know what? I hope somebody kills him and he doesn't make it, and then they have to blow out the manager's head. Right? Just come on, just end it, because it was just so unnecessary, so unnecessarily long.
It is cool though that it's called John Wick, but they do allow you that the believability that he might not make it out of this. That's pretty impressive for a movie for a franchise like this that's named after him, when you think they might have the balls to actually kill him off in one of these movies. I think that's says something about the people behind it. But overall, I'm with you. It's just not for me. It's too much fighting, and it's, again, not wrong with the movie. It's what I'm bringing to it that it's hard for me to pay attention to. Sean, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Or go ahead, answer your question. Or answer your...
I was just going to say that one of my favorite thread throughout all 4 movies is that good people have dogs. I like dogs. I don't have a dog. I'm not allowed to have a dog in my apartment, but my best friend has a dog, and it's the best. It's the best dog, and yeah, it just goes to show that dog people are good people. And I think in terms of my favorite, I think maybe it's Parabellum. Maybe because I do like what you. I was with Jeff all the way on Halle Berry. I wish she would have been a part of this movie too. That would have helped. Um, yeah, I think Parabellum's probably the best one. Then the first one, then this one, and then yeah, number two probably. Although I like all four of them. I give all four positive reviews.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? Is it the same kind of 3 and 2?
Yeah, I would go 3, 1, 4, 2. And honestly, 4 and 2 are pretty much, they're evenly matched because I was kind of, I don't even know how to say the words today, but I was just so numbed by all the fighting in 2 that I don't even remember half of it. I was just completely zoned out. Because like if I turned my head, he was fighting somebody else, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" 4, he was just everybody, And for me, it really sealed the deal when he was trying to get up the stairs. And it would have the Indiana Jones of it all would have been great if he'd like looked up the stairs and he had to get there and he saw 40 guys coming from the shadows and he just said, "Oh, fuck." And then you cut to him standing at the top of the stairs and you see all the heaps of bodies. That would have been funny. Like Harrison Ford shooting the Cairo swordsman and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think it would have been funnier and I would have been like, "Oh, good." But then you have to have Donnie Yen come in, and it's just get on with it.
Yeah, I do like more comic relief in my action movies and this era of action movies doesn't have it as much as like the 80s had, which doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I just, I like.
That's what you like.
Yeah. But we did do about 35, 36 minutes on John Wick. That's pretty good. What were you going to say, Jeff?
No, I was just going to say that's why I watch Die Hard every year and I never get sick of it. I know everything that's going to happen. I know every line of that movie, but I don't get sick of it because it's funny. It's scary in parts and it's like, oh shit, there's actual stakes. Whereas here it's like he's like a Jedi and he has magic and he can just shoot everybody and he's got, anti-ballistic clothing and they're all wearing these Kevlar suits that every time he's like pulling up his coat to shield his face, I'm just like, come on, really?
That's established in universe if that works.
I know, but it's just it's used too much.
Yeah. Anything else before we go on to 1993?
I do question the rewatchability of these. Would these be fun to? I mean, I did enjoy rewatching them, but do I have the kind of excitement of rewatching this that I do Star Wars? Of course not. No, that's ridiculous. Star Wars is one of the most rewatchable movies ever. Same goes for Die Hard. There's just a rewatchable quality to them. Rocky has the same way.
Thank you for including me in
that. Rocky The Big Lebowski is an incredible rewatchability. These movies probably not. Certainly not all of them. Certainly 2 probably doesn't have the best rewatchability, but on occasion, like this, if I've got a reason. Yeah, I don't mind it. But I also never watch the Fast and Furious movies after I see them one time. It's a cookie. It's just like that's what it is. It's a very delicious dessert, and then I never need to do that again.
So a quick question. I think spoiler alert, I guess, because do you think he's actually dead?
Well, not after a $73 million opening weekend, I
don't. Well, there was when Friday the 13th Part 5, which just celebrated its 38th anniversary this week, came out. I will never forget the line in, I think it was People magazine, that the opening line to their review was, "Where there's a till, there's a way," and that's how I feel about this one. I think
I think if they want to keep it going, they need to actually take it away from Chad Stahelski and get the guys from Crank back together. They steal John Wick's body and they rebuild him like Jason Statham in Crank, because like Crank is like the cocaine version of this movie. So
we could just make him a zombie and bring him back in that. Find a way to work that into the universe.
They would, if zombie John Wick,
All right. 1993, we've got Born Yesterday, Hear No Evil, Married to It, The Opposite Sex, and How to Live with Them. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, we're doing The Opposite Sex and How to Live with Them as soon as MJ is back. A friend of theirs got sick, so they've been not unable to record this week. But I watched it. They watched it. It's not as bad as Hexed, which is surprising. It's got Ari Gross in it, who's in Hexed, and it is bad though. It is hard to sit through, and it's only 88 minutes long. I'm in the middle of it because I had to stop it because it was so dumb, and I was tired. So I'm like, just gonna put this off for a little bit, and especially after MJ said they couldn't record this week. I'm like, I can take a break.
Yeah,
it's kind of miserable, so I can stop. But it'll be a fun podcast though once we get to record.
I can't believe it's not as bad as Hexed, because I watched an episode of Murder, She Wrote the other night that Ari Gross was in, and I just was like, I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you. Between the Ellen Show and Hexed, I just fucking hate him.
Yeah, I get it. I kind of start thinking of him in Minority Report, and like, yeah, that's a good fate for you.
But Jeff, you watched Married to It, didn't you?
I did.
Why?
Because it was the only thing I could watch without having to spend money this weekend. I actually I wanted to watch Hear No Evil because I never saw that one when it came out, and I do love myself a 90s thriller, especially with Marlee Matlin, who's fucking hilarious in real life. But I was like, oh, Married to It, that's included in Prime or whatever, so I'll watch that. And I love Stockard Channing. I love Sybil Shepherd. But there was nothing really special about it. I mean, it was engaging. I was packing for Golden Con and putting sticker packs together and whatever, but I kept finding myself minimizing the screen and looking at something on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. But it was fine. I thought that some of the performances were better than others. I did not know that Ron Silver could sing. And I always get him and Joe Montana mixed up now, or later in their careers. But it was like one of those New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day movies that Gary Marshall used to do. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh God, no.
But with better actors.
Okay. And obviously must have been a better director because he's garbage. Gary Marshall is human trash, or was human trash. Hi down there in hell, Gary.
No, he's in heaven.
Ouch.
He's in heaven. Don't ruin hell for me.
You ever notice when somebody dies, they never say, "Oh, I bet she's looking down on you." Why is it never, "I bet she's looking up at you"? I'm going to start saying my dad.
No, wow. I didn't. I never said that.
You're so terrible.
Awful.
But,
terrible.
I mean, it wasn't great, but it was fine. It was one of those Sunday afternoon movies where if it's on TV and you're cleaning the house, you can leave it on. But I'd never heard of it until we talked about what the classics were, or what the 93 movies were.
Mm.
So,
and you have the opportunity to avoid Ari Gross. So
Well, I certainly wasn't going to watch that movie with him in it. And I couldn't watch Marley Matlin, so we went with Stockard Channing, the world's oldest teenager.
The opposite sex and How to Live with Them is on Paramount, in case anybody has the Paramount streaming service and wants to
have it. I'll be watching it.
All right. Next week we've got Dungeons and Dragons, possibly Spinning Gold, 1001 Years, and hopefully A Good Person. If The Good Person comes, our classic will be The Lost Weekend. In 1993, we got Crush, The Adventures of Huck Finn, Jack the Bear, and Cop and a Half. Which one are you guys doing for the bonus?
We'll be doing Crush with Alicia Silverstone. Obviously, very likely to see more moist 1993 people, which is the weirdest trend we'd ever expected. Why was everybody so wet all the time? Was this like a choice that Hollywood made in trying to present people? Like, we can't have anybody be dry at any moment.
I have a theory.
Please.
Joel Schumacher. Now, hear me out. Okay.
He made the world wet.
Well, some people, according to him, he made a bunch of guys wet. He said he slept with more men than Wilt Chamberlain slept with women. But Michael Douglas in Basic Instinct,
mm-hmm.
and I think he took that, or not even Joel Schumacher, Paul Verhoeven. Sorry,
yeah,
that's what I meant to say. I get them all mixed up because they make the same movies. He made Michael. Oh God, this is going to sound so bad. He made Michael Douglas so wet in that movie. He was always sweating. Everybody was always sweating in that movie, and they were like, they just kept remaking Basic Instinct after 1992 for 3 or 4 years. So everybody was sweaty and wet in that one. Why not make everyone sweaty and wet in everything else?
Yeah, that's as good a theory as I've heard so far.
Wayne Knight, sweaty, musky down there.
Yeah, no, that is haunting. That is a haunting visage.
Well, just think what they really smelled like.
Just imagine the interrogation room from Basic Instinct, what that must have smelled like.
Yeah, Wayne Knight must have been awfully. It must have.
BO and foot odor and just, and then whatever Sharon Stone was wearing.
Gucci.
All right, let's jump over to Flick Chart if I can find it. That's my Facebook page. All right, we got to run the John Wicks through, or one of the John Wicks. Or we were going to do that between every movie, weren't we? And I fucked it up. I'm sorry. You guys could stop me midway through from everything.
Is there a point to it? I know you guys don't love these movies.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're gonna
not gonna go very high.
Or we could do something else. You want to just play it straight up, or?
Well, let's do straight up, or we could look at our list and see. Like, there was a couple movies we wanted to have higher on the list. I know that.
All right. View all 2,687 movies. I know Midsummer we wanted higher.
Yeah, that definitely is one for sure that we wanted up there.
Let's run Midsummer through.
Can't believe that's 4 years ago.
What was your favorite scene in Midsummer, Jeff?
Oh God, that's like asking me to choose between my children that I don't have. That opening with her family, and that was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Having seen Hereditary and reading so much about that, after that opening scene where they'd established what happened, I was just like, I'm gonna have to look for a lot of symbolism, and then I was like, oh, there's a girl with a bear. Something's gonna happen with a bear, and then they show the bear later, and I was like, yes, I was right.
That's my favorite memory of Midsummer, is walking out of it after I'm walking out to the parking lot, and just the only thing that's going through my head, they put him inside a bear and lit him on fire. I just kept saying that to myself over and over again because I couldn't fucking believe it.
So Jack Raynor looks kind of like this guy I first dated when I moved back from New York to Chicago, and I just kept thinking, good for her. I want to do that to him. I understood it.
That is not how you use the term bear, though. And you're
well, no, he did like bears, so I thought it would only be fitting if we stuffed him inside of on fire in a little yellow A-frame. I'd be fine with that.
Such incredible imagery. I mean, just the production is okay. Sorry, let's do it.
Well, you made Jeff answer his favorite scene. What's your favorite scene?
It's the cliff scene. It's the old people.
Oh yeah.
God damn! I just couldn't figure out like what the fuck is happening here, and then that giant mallet fall. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and it's in the back of your head like that could possibly be what happened.
Yeah,
but you still, and then they go there, and you're like, okay, most movies wouldn't do that.
It's like you're playing chicken with the idea, and then suddenly nobody's moving.
Yeah. Oh, such a phenomenal movie. But I agree, that was the scene I was going to say as well. Midsummer, 3 from Hell, this is very easy.
Midsummer, yeah.
Yes.
Midsummer 21.
Yeah, Midsummer.
This is going to be like the opposite of John Wick. Midsummer, Rocky 2.
Midsummer,
My Cousin Vinny.
Midsummer,
Rocky.
Oh,
Midsummer.
Bob.
I'm okay with this one.
Midsummer, yeah.
Midsummer, The Social Network.
Midsummer,
Donnie Darko.
Midsummer. Love Donnie Darko, and I think we should do it sometime, but.
Midsummer, Psycho.
Midsummer.
Ooh. Oh God, Bob, you pick.
It's Midsummer for me still. I like Psycho a lot, but I think Midsummer is it's one of my top 5.
They are both in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really that's like Sophie's choice for me.
Midsummer, Goodfellas.
Midsummer.
Yep. Midsummer, High Fidelity.
First time it's gotten tough for me, but yeah, it's Midsummer.
Midsummer, Almost Famous.
Midsummer.
It's Almost Famous for me, but I'm not a.
I love Almost Famous, but I think Midsummer is like overall right now number 3 for me. So
I mean, to me, it's Rocky, Almost Famous, Midsummer. That's where I'm at. But yeah,
you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that being number 1.
I definitely think it summarizes the 3 of us pretty
absolutely
perfectly.
Yeah, that was the first movie that we all just couldn't stop talking about. You guys had me on because it was just like, and I remember that episode like it was yesterday. Just unbelievable.
Well, I remember Sean texting me like, I think I'm drunk, but I didn't drink anything.
Yeah.
And then I went south the next day, and I think if I remember right, you went to the gas station across the street to fill up or whatever like that. And I ran out of gas, or didn't run out of gas, but needed to fill up. And I was feeling exactly what you felt, but I was trying not to because I didn't want to just do everything you said. But it was like, I can't not feel this way. And then I just started listening to, what was the name of that band?
Oh fuck yeah, Coven, yeah.
And there
goddamn
some witchcraft album that just seemed to go along with this movie, even though the movie is not about witchcraft.
Amazing. We should do that record.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is Men really number 11?
I mean, probably it doesn't belong there.
We can knock it out
we
of
both
there.
we both really liked it a lot. Like
Okay, I really I love that movie. I guess I really hadn't paid much attention to the fact that it was, well, up until today was in the top 10 or right up there.
I'm not sure how it landed
I
that
don't know
high.
either. I can't think of any.
I don't even remember running it through at any point or what it might have beaten. It beat something that was probably way too high, and then it just never came up again.
Gotcha.
I mean, personally, other than maybe Annie Hall, and that's just due to history going bad on Woody Allen. I don't know what I would pick Men over on that list of 20. I know Sean would take it over Heat for sure, but
Well, I mean, I'm surprised that it's above the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's what.
want to run that through?
We should run. Yeah, definitely.
Let's do that. I bet you this is top 5 for us.
I bet.
Yeah,
It belongs
definitely.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Texas
3 from
Chainsaw.
Hell. That's easy.
Yeah, very easy.
Texas
Also very easy.
21.
They're gonna do this to us again.
That's going to be the same movie. It's Texas Chainsaw
Yeah,
Massacre.
it
Rocky
is.
2.
It is.
My Cousin Vinny.
Yep.
Exactly the same movies.
Rocky.
Yes, it's
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Social Network.
Yeah, Texas
Yes,
Chainsaw
yeah.
Massacre.
Donnie Darko.
Yep, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Men.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Good Will Hunting.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
I agree. Old Boy. This
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
is tough for
Yeah.
me. All right, that makes it easy.
It is hard though. I love Old Boy because it's such a great part of this show. But yeah,
Midsummer, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Midsummer.
Midsummer.
Wow, it didn't
That's-
even go up
that's-
against. What would you pick almost famous for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Sean? Because I think you'd have been the deciding vote between me and Jeff, if I'm guessing right.
Oh, I would have definitely picked Texas Chainsaw.
I would have to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
How do we
So,
move it up there?
Sorry.
Quick story about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Friends with John Dugan, who played Grandpa in the movie. He was like 20 years old at the time. And he told a story about that if you ever get a chance to meet him at a con, just ask him about the chicken in the bird cage. And especially if he talks late at night after he's had a couple. He told me this story. It was me and him and Cora Nemec, who played Parker Lewis on Parker Lewis Can't Lose, among other things. We were closing down the bar at the hotel we were all staying at, and he told me this story, and I laughed so hard I almost pissed myself. Just the way he told it, and he'd been drinking, so it was even better that way. So, if you ever get a chance, ask him. Hopefully, I get to record him saying it sometime.
Cool.
I've only ever gone to one con, and I'm only telling the story so you guys can hate me. Gunnar Hansen was there, and sitting next to him was Bill Moseley, and I went to Bill Moseley.
Oh.
And then I went to Jordan Ladd after that. It didn't even... In fairness, this was before we really fell in love with that movie. But in hindsight, I wish I would have stopped by his table. And there was no lines either. It was ridiculous.
Oh, I'm doing Midwest Monster Fest this fall in East Moline, and I get to finally meet Felissa Rose, who played Angela in Sleepaway Camp.
Oh wow,
That's awesome.
She's making the rounds, huh?
Oh yeah, she's finally coming here, so you guys should definitely come and join.
When
me.
is that?
The second weekend in September.
I'm going to ask her about her weird mid 80s turn away from horror and into Christian mommy blogging of the 80s. Oh, she had a weird turn. Yeah, she made a video where it's like she's a Christian mom who raps, which is very odd.
Oh God. Don't ruin this for me, Sean.
Check out Best of the Worst on YouTube. They had that story. It's very interesting. I was shocked it was her. I was truly shocked it was her.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I hope you guys get to come to that just to meet some of the people. I'm excited because Tom Morga is going to be there, and he's the only person who's played Leatherface, Jason, and Michael Myers. He's a stuntman.
Wow.
But he did the majority of Friday the 13th Part 5. So I'm going to have him sign the poster that I designed for that.
Nice.
So
where is Hereditary on our list?
It's fine. Well, I mean, it's somewhere, but not in the top 20.
should be.
And we should definitely do everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, it's number 126.
I mean,
Bizarre.
it doesn't. We've never ran it through, so it only gets to go when it pops up. And I don't know what could have lost to it though. Anyway, Hereditary, 3 from Hell. That's easy. Hereditary 21, very simple. Rocky 2, simple.
Mm-hmm.
My Cousin Vinny. That's pretty easy for you guys.
Yeah.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Hereditary.
Uh-huh.
The Lion King. Hereditary.
Hereditary.
I don't know. That was pretty close.
Kill
This
Bill
one's
Volume
tough.
2.
This one's a
Yeah.
little tough. I'll go Hereditary, but yeah, I love Kill Bill a lot.
Yeah.
Happy
Kill Bill
birthday,
is-
Quentin.
Yeah, he's 60 today. Actually, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 are probably my favorite of his movies, just as far as like he just kind of hit his stride there.
I mean, I know it's lame. It's cliche. I just still think Pulp Fiction's the best thing he's ever done.
I've watched that too many times.
Maybe that. It's almost like
Yeah,
you can't even
just-
count it as a movie. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like hit like the Godfather level where it's just off here to the side. You can't even.
Well, it's like for me, it's like Star Wars for me. I gotta. What's your favorite movie of all time? Well, I can't say Star Wars because there's 100 of them now, and I just kind of treat them all as one. But that's why I say Black Christmas because it's perfect.
Hereditary.
That's one we should.
Dog. Well, which one? Black Christmas.
Yeah, Hereditary for me.
Hereditary, yeah.
Dogma is great.
I love Dogma.
Hereditary. High Fidelity.
Hereditary for me.
I mean, yeah, you guys are going to probably go Hereditary, so I'll go High Fidelity.
Hereditary. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Massacre.
I agree. Would you have
That's a good
taken?
spot for Hereditary.
Would you have taken Old Boy over Hereditary?
No, I would have taken Hereditary.
Yeah.
What about Almost Famous?
I would take Almost Famous.
Yeah, me
I would
too.
take Hereditary. I'm not a huge fan of Almost Famous.
No, it's definitely for a specific audience. Anything else you guys want to run through?
I would
those?
also pick Singles over Almost Famous as my Cameron Crowe movie.
I would like to do Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That's probably you did mention that, didn't you? $14.08.
That was a pretty good movie, actually.
Right out of the gate, it's hard.
Everything.
It's not hard. It means Viagra. This is definitely Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. I was over Tango and Cash for those listening at home and not looking at my screen. Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Boston Strangler.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
Let the Right One In. Or
An
Everything.
incredible film,
Everything.
but
Yeah.
it's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Everything Everywhere All at
Easily.
Once. Although I like Zack and
I
Miri.
do too.
I
but
like Zack and Miri, but it's not one that I would, it's not one I'm like, oh my God, I gotta watch that again.
Like, I would never put it on a list.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Major League, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Agreed. There's Something About Mary.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
EEAO.
Heat.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Agreed. Juno.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
Juno is wonderful.
Hereditary.
It really is.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You said Hereditary, Jeff?
Yeah. I just want to see what you'll say.
Oh, it's everything. I think I'm probably out from the here on out. But I think Sean might still go with it.
I'm going to pick, I'll pick it over Texas Chainsaw for myself. But
Oh, I'm going to pick Texas Chainsaw.
It's Texas for me. It's that experience when Sean and I watched. It really was quite. I mean, Everything Everywhere All at Once was also an amazing experience too. But again, why? It'd be nice if we could go against all four of them, Old Boy and Almost Famous, just to see where it truly laid out. But
I want to speak a little bit to my influence on the show. That 5 or 4 of the 1, 2, 3 of the top 6 are horror movies.
Well, and you could even. I mean, Old Boy's not a horror movie, but it's definitely fucked up.
Yeah. Just, And then in the top 20, there's Jaws, North by Northwest, which is a thriller, not really horror, but it is Hitchcock. Psycho, Men. I mean,
again, Men probably wouldn't be there.
No.
I love that movie. I do. It would not be the number 14 movie overall.
No.
Yeah.
That is a suggestion to read.
I mean, Dogma wouldn't be in the top 20. Juno probably wouldn't be. I mean, Goodfellas is great, but it's kind of in its own little world, too. I don't know.
I kind of fuck up the curve, though, because, I'm going to pick Friday the 13th, the original, over probably 60% of that list of the top 20.
But I think we all balance each other out, too.
I know. I'm just saying.
There'll be times where you and I will gang up on Sean and then vice versa. And
like Outwaters?
Yeah. Although he didn't, he kind of was with us in a certain way. All right. Anything else before we wrap it up? Anything else anyone wants to talk about?
Just a reminder that Eddie Money sings as a serial cannibal killer in "Take Me Home Tonight." You can find. I'll post that song review on the Facebook page for anybody who wants to check that out. Nobody's going to read it. I also wrote my own horror short story called "The Accursed Mirror," which is up now and is a part of a horror writing contest.
Awesome. That's cool.
I'm writing something too, so if I ever get it out of my head, I'll let you guys read it. It's a cop thing.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
Think Harry Bosch, only younger and gayer and American Horror Story-ish.
I'm doing nothing creative whatsoever. All right. Are we going to talk about the Mark Twain Awards, or are we going to end the show?
What's the Mark Twain Awards?
Adam Sandler won that got the Mark Twain Award for outstanding. I don't know.
For having a movie coming out.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's kind of interesting that an award like that goes out at the same time he's got a movie coming out on Netflix. I mean, I don't know if those two things would be related or not, but perhaps, probably, yes, they are. Definitely. Netflix paid for that.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense because Chappelle got it a few years ago, and I'd imagine he had
a special coming out. Yeah. Netflix has paid for the Mark Twain Award. Just saying.
Well, Jon Stewart got it
Allegedly.
last year, I think, and he had something on Apple. So
Apple, so yeah.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I will talk to you guys next week.
All right, cool.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.